All right, so let's jump into it today. We're going to be taking a look at this article that Sequoia Capital put out. It's called AI in 2025, Building Blocks Firmly in Place. And we're going to unpack, where AI stands at the start of 2025, what's next, and
Yeah.
how it might impact you.
Yeah, this article is really interesting. It kind of lays out a vision for the future of AI, and I think it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, they definitely don't hold back. I love how they start
Yeah.
by calling 2024 the primordial soup year for AI.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
I think it really captures like that feeling of explosive growth, but also like a lack of clear direction.
It really was a wild year, wasn't it? Just think about all the hype around
Yeah.
ChatGPT and
Yeah.
the realization that these large language models could do way more than we thought. It was like the AI world had its own big bang.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people are just scrambling, trying to figure out what it all meant. But now Sequoia is saying, okay, those building blocks, they're falling into place. Like we're starting to see some structure.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I think that's a good way to put it. So where do all the big players fit into this new landscape?
Right.
Well, the article highlights 5 key players, kind of like the finalists in some kind of grand AI competition you've got. Microsoft and OpenAI working together, Amazon's backing Anthropic, Google's doing its own thing, of course. Then you have Meta kind of going a different direction, and of course the newcomer, Elon Musk's XAI.
Yeah, it's so interesting how each company seems to be approaching AI with
Oh,
like a completely different strategy.
yeah, it's like they each chose a weapon for this AI arms race.
What are their weapons of choice, I guess, is the question.
Well, let's start with Google. I mean, their approach is pretty clear. They're all about vertical integration. They want to control every part of that AI process from designing their own chips to managing those huge data centers and, of course, doing their own research.
Wow, so they're going for complete control of that whole supply chain.
Yeah,
Do you think that strategy could backfire at all? I mean, would it limit their flexibility?
it's possible. Yeah, I mean, it's a risk. But Google's betting that their resources and the infrastructure they already have will give them a leg up. Now, on the other hand, you've got OpenAI, and they're going for brand recognition. ChatGPT, I mean, it's basically become synonymous with AI for a lot of people, and that gives them a huge advantage, especially when it comes to consumers.
Yeah, they've kind of created the Kleenex or Xerox of AI.
Exactly. And that recognition is so valuable. I mean, they're already making billions in revenue, which allows them to just pour more money into research and development. And then there's Anthropic, and they're really focused on attracting the top talent. They've snatched up some of the best AI researchers, and it's clear they also want to be a real powerhouse when it comes to innovation.
So it's a battle for brains as well as market
Yeah.
share. What about XAI? I
Yeah.
mean, they seem to be taking a completely different approach.
Yeah. Well, their strategy seems to be centered around scale. They think that bigger is better when it comes to AI models, and they're investing a ton of money in building these massive data centers with thousands of GPUs. It's kind of a brute force approach, but
Yeah.
it could pay off.
It's pretty impressive. But do you think that computing power alone is enough to win this race? I mean, couldn't that strategy lead to diminishing returns if
Yeah.
they don't focus on other aspects like the quality of data or algorithm efficiency?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I
But
mean, it's not just about throwing more hardware. At the problem, you need the right algorithms and good quality data to train these massive models effectively. And then there's Meta, and they're doing something really different. They're focusing on open source models.
that's a big contrast to what the other companies are doing. So what's the
Yeah.
thinking behind that open source approach?
Well, they're basically betting that by making their models free to use, they can create a much wider community of developers and really speed up innovation. It's definitely a risky move because they're essentially giving away their technology, but
Yeah.
it could lead to widespread adoption and a more diverse AI ecosystem.
It's fascinating to see all these different strategies playing out. We've got 5 major players, each with their own strengths and approaches. It's like a real life experiment unfolding right in front of us.
It really is, and the outcome is far from certain. I mean, each approach has its own advantages and potential pitfalls, but the article doesn't just analyze the players, it also digs into a specific application of AI that's already making waves, and that's AI-powered search.
And this is where things get really exciting because we're not
Yeah.
just talking about indexing web pages. We're
Right.
talking about AI that can actually understand and synthesize information.
It's like a totally new way of thinking about how we access and process
Mm.
information. Imagine asking a question, instead of getting a list of links, you get a clear and insightful answer based on a huge amount of knowledge.
So it's like having a super intelligent research assistant right at your fingertips. What are the implications of that for the average person?
I think the potential impact is huge, especially for people whose work depends
Oh,
on information, like analysts, lawyers, doctors, researchers, anyone who spends hours going through documents and data. AI search could really boost their productivity and free up their time for more strategic thinking.
and we're already seeing the early stages of this transformation, right? I mean, Perplexity
Yeah.
has become incredibly popular with its AI search engine, and even OpenAI has gotten into the game
Yeah.
with ChatGPT search. And then there was that quote in the Wall Street Journal, Googling is for old people.
Right.
It may be tongue-in-cheek, but it shows how quickly things are changing.
Exactly. I think AI search is really going to disrupt the traditional search engines.
Makes you wonder if Google's strategy with vertical integration is partly a response to this threat.
It could be. They're definitely aware of the potential of AI search, and they're investing a lot in their own AI search tools. But the article goes even further. It suggests that AI search might actually lead to a fragmentation of the search market.
What do you mean by fragmentation?
Well, instead of one dominant search engine, we might see specialized search engines that are designed for specific professions or industries. Imagine a search engine specifically for legal research, or one that's optimized for medical literature.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, we'll have these really specialized tools.
Exactly, and we're already seeing examples of this, like Harvey, which is specifically for lawyers, and open evidence for medical professionals.
Yeah.
These are just the first signs of what could be a whole wave of these specialized AI search tools.
This is some pretty exciting stuff, but let's shift gears for a second and talk about the cost of all this innovation. Building these AI models, constructing these massive data centers, it all takes a huge amount of money.
Yeah, man.
So is there a return on investment in sight?
That's the big question. And the article actually addresses, it points out that initially big tech was really worried about AI disrupting the cloud business. They saw AI as a potential threat, and so they decided to spend a lot of money to make sure they stayed in control.
It was almost like a preemptive strike to stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly. But now as things start to settle down a bit, we're probably going to see a slowdown in that crazy spending. The article predicts that capital expenditure will start to level off in 2025 as these big data center construction projects are finished.
So what does that mean for the future of AI development?
Well, one potential outcome is that compute costs could go down as supply catches up with demand, and that could be a huge opportunity for startups and smaller companies who couldn't afford to compete with big tech before.
So big tech spending spree might actually end up making AI more accessible.
It's an interesting twist, right? And it could lead to a new wave of innovation as smaller companies enter the market with fresh ideas and approaches. But the bigger picture, I think, is that the AI rails are being laid down. And the question is, what's going to ride those rails? What are those innovative applications that will emerge?
And what unexpected problems will AI be able to solve in the years to come? I mean, we've talked about the big companies and the race to dominate AI, but what about those smaller players, the startups, the individual innovators? What role will they play?
That's a great question, and one that we'll explore further in the next part of our deep dive.
So we've been talking about these big players and the AI rails, but what about the individual rider?
Yeah.
How will AI impact your life in the coming year?
Yeah, I think that's where things get really personal. One of the most immediate changes we're probably going to see is the rise of AI-powered personalization. Imagine a world where technology anticipates your needs and tailors your experience to your preferences.
It's almost like having a personal assistant who knows you better than you know yourself.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that require like a massive amount of data about our lives?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't there a risk of like crossing the line into privacy invasion?
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid concern, and it's something we definitely need to be careful about. But the potential benefits are pretty significant. Just think about it. A news feed that filters out all the noise and only shows you stories you're actually interested in. Or a music app that makes playlists based on your mood and what you're doing.
I can definitely see the appeal of that. But what about applications beyond entertainment? I mean, could AI personalization have a real impact on more serious aspects of our lives?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about healthcare, for example. You could have an AI-powered system that analyzes your medical history, your lifestyle, even your genetic predispositions, and then creates a personalized health plan for you.
Yeah, that could totally revolutionize preventative care. No more generic advice. It's all tailored to your individual needs.
Exactly, and it goes beyond just healthcare. Think about financial planning, travel education. Almost every aspect of our lives could be enhanced by AI personalization.
It sounds almost utopian, but I can't help but think about the potential downsides as well.
Yeah.
What about job displacement? I mean, won't AI automation lead to a lot of people losing their jobs?
Yeah, that's a valid concern for sure, and one that we need to address proactively. There's no doubt that AI is going to disrupt certain industries and job markets, but history has shown us that. Technological advances often create more jobs than they destroy, even if they're in different fields.
So it's not just about being afraid of losing your job, but about adapting and learning new skills that will be in demand in this AI-driven world.
Exactly. Education and upskilling are going to be so crucial. We need to equip ourselves with the tools and knowledge to thrive in this new environment. But I think beyond the economic implications, AI also raises some pretty deep questions about our relationships and even our sense of self. Well, we're already seeing AI influence our social interactions through things like algorithms on social media and recommendation systems. But as AI becomes more sophisticated, it could play an even bigger role in our lives, from helping us connect with people who share our interests to providing companionship and even emotional support.
So AI, as a friend or therapist, that's both intriguing and a little unsettling. I mean, do you think we could become too reliant on AI for emotional connection? Could it change what it means to be human?
Those are really interesting questions and ones that we're going to have to grapple with as AI keeps developing. But I think ultimately, AI has the potential to make our human experience better. It's a tool that, if used wisely, can help us connect with ourselves and each other on a deeper level.
I love that perspective. It's
Yeah.
not about AI replacing human connection, but enriching it.
Exactly. But let's bring it back to 2025. What are some specific trends we can expect to see in the coming year? The article highlights healthcare as a prime candidate for AI disruption.
I can see why there's so much potential there for AI to improve diagnoses, create personalized treatment plans, and even speed up drug discovery.
Right. Imagine an AI assistant that can analyze medical images more accurately than a human radiologist, or a system that can predict which patients will respond best to a particular treatment.
That could save lives and cut healthcare costs. Pretty amazing to think about.
Oh.
What about other industries? Where else do you think AI will make a big impact in 2025?
I think education is another area that's ripe for transformation. Imagine personalized learning platforms that adapt to each student's needs and pace, or AI tutors that give real-time feedback and guidance.
Yeah, that could really level the playing field in education, give every student the opportunity to succeed no matter their background.
Exactly. And let's not forget about the creative industries. AI is already being used to compose music, create artwork, even write stories.
I've seen some of that AI-generated stuff, and it's pretty mind-blowing. Do you think AI will eventually replace human artists?
I don't think so. I think it's more about collaboration. AI can be a powerful tool for inspiration and exploration. It can help artists push the boundaries of their creativity. It's like having a creative partner who can come up with new ideas and possibilities.
That's a great way to think about it. So, with all this potential for positive impact, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement. But how do we ensure that AI is developed and used ethically and responsibly?
Yeah, that's a crucial question and one that we need to address as a society. We need to have open conversations about the risks and benefits of AI, and we need to come up with clear guidelines and regulations to make sure AI aligns with our values.
Sounds like a pretty daunting task. Where do we even begin?
Well, I think it starts with education and awareness. The more we understand about AI, its capabilities, and its limitations, the better prepared we'll be to make good decisions about how it's developed and used.
So it's about empowering people to participate in the conversation and shape the future of AI.
Exactly. It's not just about the technology, but about the values and ethics we build into it.
AI as a reflection of ourselves. That's a pretty powerful thought.
It is, and it reminds us that we ultimately have the power to shape the future of AI. But let's not lose sight of the wonder and excitement that AI inspires. We're on the edge of a technological revolution, and the possibilities are truly endless.
Yeah, it's an incredible time to be alive. In the final part of our deep dive, we're going to step back and explore some of the bigger philosophical questions that AI raises about our place in the universe.
It's going to get existential.
All right, so welcome back to the show. We've talked about, the tech landscape, the potential impact of AI on our lives. But now I want to kind of step back and look at the bigger picture. Like, what does the rise of AI mean for our understanding of what it means to be human?
Yeah, this is where things get really philosophical. We're talking about stuff that they used to be science fiction, but now it's becoming more and more relevant to our lives.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're living in a sci-fi novel sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, as these AI systems become more advanced, they really challenge our ideas about, intelligence, consciousness, creativity. Makes you wonder, like, what makes us different? What makes us human?
That's the big question, isn't it? What is it that makes us unique? Is it our emotions, our ability to empathize, our sense of self, or are those things that AI could eventually replicate too?
It's a little unsettling to think that machines might one day be able to experience the world in a way that we think of as uniquely human.
Yeah, some experts think that consciousness is just something that emerges from complex systems. So if that's true,
Mhm.
then it's possible that as AI systems become more complex, they could develop some form of consciousness.
Wow, that's a pretty mind-blowing thought. But if AI does become conscious,
Mm.
what does that mean? Would they have the same rights? The respect.
Those are some big ethical and philosophical questions that we're going to have to deal with as AI keeps evolving. I mean, we're already seeing debates about things like robot rights and the ethics of using AI in law enforcement and the military.
It feels like we're entering uncharted territory here,
Yeah.
with a whole new set of ethical considerations that we've never had to think about before.
Exactly. We need to start thinking about these things now before AI gets so advanced that we can't control it anymore. We need to come up with some clear ethical guidelines and legal frameworks for how we develop and use AI.
But, let's not get too caught up in the potential risks. There's also a huge amount of potential for AI to do good in the world. I mean, imagine AI helping us solve some of our biggest problems like climate change, poverty, disease.
Yeah, that's the promise of AI, isn't it? To help us do things we couldn't do before and create a better future for everyone. It's a powerful tool, but we have to use it wisely and responsibly.
It all comes back to the choices we make today, I think. The future of AI isn't set in stone. It's being shaped by the decisions we're making right now.
So, what are some key takeaways that you'd want our listeners to think about as they try to navigate this crazy world of AI?
Well, I think the most important thing is to stay informed and engaged. AI is moving so fast, it's crucial to stay up to date on the latest developments and be part of the conversations that are shaping the future of this technology. How about you?
I think I'd emphasize being curious and thinking critically about AI. Explore
Yeah.
the possibilities, experiment with new tools, but also question your assumptions and think about the potential consequences.
Yeah, we need to be aware of the potential downsides, but also embrace the potential for AI
Yeah.
to make our lives better and create a more just and sustainable world.
Right. The future of AI isn't something that's happening to us, it's something we're creating together. And that's both exciting and a big responsibility.
Well said. That wraps up our deep dive into AI in 2025. We've explored the tech landscape, the potential impact, and the bigger philosophical questions that AI raises about who we are and where we fit in the universe. But this is just the start of the conversation. We encourage you to keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep engaging with this amazing technology. The future of AI is in our hands. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep diving deep.